our last problem. Let's get started. So example 8. Again, what is the first factoring technique you always try before you try any other factoring technique? Exactly, you guys. It would be the GCF. Okay, so looking at this, the GCF is a little tricky in this one, so we gotta be careful. Okay, so what is the largest number that will divide into 3, 11, and 6? Well, that would be a 1. But, if you guys remember, we do not like the leading coefficient of our polynomial to be negative when we factor. Okay, usually things just don't work out, things don't simplify down. Okay, so we really want the leading coefficient to be positive. So when we factor out the GCF, we divide the GCF into all 3 of my terms. So if I want my leading coefficient, which is -3, to transform into a positive, what can you divide a negative by to make it positive? You would divide it by a negative. And the largest number that divides into 3, 11, and 6 is 1. So we're actually going to factor out a -1. So just be careful. If that leading coefficient is negative, in addition to whatever the GCF is, you need to factor out a negative sign. So just be careful. Okay, so my GCF is a -1. I'm going to divide all 3 terms by a -1. Okay, so -3x squared divided by -3. Well, -3 divided by -1 is +3. I don't have anything to divide the x squared by, so I'm going to bring it on down. -11 divided by -1, well, that is +11, and I don't have anything to divide the x by, so again, I will simply just bring it on down. Okay, and then -6 divided by -1, well, that will be a +6. Okay, and after you factor out the GCF, you must look inside that parenthesis and ask yourself, can I keep factoring? Which, guess what? We can. We have 3 terms. Our highest exponent is a 2, which means we have a quadratic. So that means I can use general factoring, or slide and divide. So let's start sliding and dividing. So I'm going to slide A to C, or I'm going to multiply. So 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, and don't forget, I slide A, and I must divide by A at the end. So my A is a 3. I slide the A, which is a 3. And now I will divide by the A, which is a 3. Okay, so at the very end, just don't forget, you must divide by your A value, which in this case is a 3. Okay, and then my B value is going to be an 11. Okay, so if I'm going to multiply to equal a +18, what kinds of numbers multiply to equal a positive? Yes, that would be 2 positives or 2 negatives, which if I'm trying to add to be +11, 2 positives will add to be a +11. 2 negatives will not add to be a +11, so just be careful. Okay, so let's think about some numbers that will multiply to be 18. Let's see. Well, I have 1 in 18. Let's see if that works. Okay, so I know they're both positive. So 1 plus 18, that is 19, not 11. Man, that does not work. Okay, let's see here. Let's think about something else. I'm going to say 3 and 6. Let's see if that will work. Okay, so 3 plus 6, that will not be 11. Good golly, Miss Molly. That will not work. So I must think of something else, you guys. What else will multiply to be 18? Yes, I think that one could work. Yeah, let's see. Okay. The only other thing that multiplies to be 18 is 2 and 9. So let's see here. 2 plus 9. Whoa, that does equal 11. Yes. Holy hot dog, right? So that one will work. So I'm going to write my 2 and my 9. 2 times 9 is 18, and 2 plus 9 is 11. Okay, so since those are my numbers, I'm going to bring them on down into my parenthesis. So this is a +2, so I'm going to add 2. This is a +9, so I'm going to add the 9. Okay, and then from here, I'm going to simplify things down. 2 over 3 will not simplify down, but remember, if you have a fraction, Okay, you don't want to end up in factored form with a fraction. So where can I move the denominator of that fraction in my factored form? Well, you can slide that bad boy in front of the x. So I'm going to slide that value in front of the x, and I'm going to leave the numerator as it is. So plus 2. Okay, and then 9 over 3, well, that will simplify to be a positive 3, so plus 3. And then, don't forget, before you circle your answer, what must you always write at the very front of your answer? Well, you must write your GCF at the front if you have one, which we have one. So I'm going to bring on down my GCF and write it at the very front. Don't forget about the GCF, you guys. It's your best friend, and you don't want to forget about your best friend. And guess what? That's all, folks.